You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, podcast number 248.2, the MLB Report with Uncle Paul. Uncle Paul, of course, is Paul Tipton, who knows more about the history of baseball and baseball right now than anybody else I know.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome, baseball fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report and the MLB, our weekly MLB update with Uncle Paul. Paul Tipton, welcome back.
Hello there, Central Indiana. Greetings from the desert.
Former Central Indiana resident and lover of all sports, especially baseball. And the National League Central is the favorite here in Central Indiana. And at the top of the National League Central, Paul, is the Cubs and the Reds. How about that?
How about that? Yes, the Reds have an excellent scheduling opportunity this weekend.
They did. They lost 2 out of 3 to Miami. You don't want to do that.
No, exactly. And they fiddled around in Colorado last night.
They sure did. And escaped with one.
Well, are the Rockies going to break the Chicago White Sox long-standing record here from last year of losses?
I don't think they're bad enough to do that, but they play in that division, and they play an awful lot of teams that are.
That is a 160 winning percentage today.
Ooh, that division is so good.
Yes, that's almost 100 points lower than the record. So.
They are 12 and a half games back, 25 games into
yeah,
the season.
I think they can give that up. That's quite a competition. Although the Diamondbacks look like they might be saying without Ketel Marte, they can no longer compete with the other three there.
Probably not, but they can certainly compete with the Reds, Brewers, and maybe not. Maybe not. You got the Phillies there too. I didn't even think about that. But
they lost 2 out of 3 to the Tampa Bay Rays, who are struggling. So
yes, that is definitely not a good injury. But
so do you think the Cubs can run away with this Central, or do you think the Reds will take them down to the wire?
I think the Reds are better than the Cubs. But the Cubs score runs way more consistently, so that's what we've seen so far. Their lineup is way more consistent than the Reds, and I would say that the rest of the teams are pretty even. But it would be really cool if that was the pennant race or the division race was the Reds and Cubs.
It looks like the other 3 teams have some definite challenges there. So,
Paul, the other on was it Wednesday night? Wednesday night, I did for the first time ever color on a baseball game.
Ooh!
And it was a lot of fun. But I made.
Was it a high school game?
It was a high school game.
Oh wow! So you have to keep track of all your notes there, huh?
Oh, it was so much fun. And I said, I just don't know what's wrong with Cubs fans on the broadcast.
Wait a minute. You said that out loud.
Absolutely.
Oh, my.
I don't know. I'm supposed to be impartial, and I just don't understand why. I just don't understand the Go Cubs Go song that they sing at the end of the game where they say, we're going to win today. It's like they don't know how language works.
Yeah. Also, it's there's a reference to WGN, which has not been carrying Cubs games for a long time.
So. That is also true, and also they call their team the Cubbies, like they're their pets. I don't understand it.
I thought you were having trouble with the demeanor and comportment of these Cubs fans in the stands.
Believe me, I do. However, I did go to Wrigley Field, and everyone was very, very friendly. But Cubs fans in Central Indiana...
They don't travel well, is what you're saying. You don't like them in Cincinnati down there.
Correct. They do not travel well. They travel obnoxiously.
Well,
And
I did notice that Dodger fans who that is our version out here also don't travel well, and they enjoy taking over a stadium.
yes,
Although the other night they lost a game
are they?
to the Cubs at the precise moment that they started the. I'm sorry, it was a ninth inning. They were up by a
Yes,
run with 2 outs. The Dodger fans started chanting for the Dodgers, and then they gave up the game tying home run. So
probably
I thought that
shouldn't.
was instant karma.
Probably shouldn't taunt Pete Crow Armstrong, should you?
No, he was all speed and all glove last year, but didn't seem to hit worth a lick. And somehow he's figured it out so far.
So far, that is quite a
You think he
start.
can hit? You think he can hit 300 this year?
I don't know. I don't know enough about him,
Hmm.
but he's so far he looks like the MVP of the league.
Yeah, I guess that's right. It's certainly not Shohei Otani so far.
Yeah, we're talking about the third place Dodgers here, by the way.
Yes, although only one game out, and the
Of course.
Padres seem to be. The Padres lost 2 series on the road and then lost a game at home last night. So Padres fans are probably pretty nervous.
And maybe Giants fans thought we could be in the middle of this thing, but I don't think anybody else did.
That's been very surprising. Yes.
We saw them early in the season here at Cincinnati, and they are pretty good. They I believe they're going to be a playoff team.
Yes, I'm beginning to think that that's exactly right. They're sending the message out that they belong, and unless something very strange happens, they're probably going to be right there. So, although there are more teams in the American League who can compete because everybody's mediocre.
Well, we're going to talk about that in just a second. Before we
Oh,
do,
sorry,
though,
I'm jumping the
no,
gun there.
no, I just want to tell you we're going to be talking about that in a second. What we're talking about right now, though, is the top of the National League East, and that's did not expect the Mets to be 18-8. I know they have talent, but I did not see that coming.
Um, yes, I'm very doubtful that that the polar bear can maintain this level of excellence. So,
So you think this is a fluke?
well, I'm not so sure because they're doing it without Soto by and
Oh,
large.
that's true. That's a good point.
And if he gets hot, then yes, their pitching just seems to be exceeding expectations. Maybe their pitching coach has figured some things out.
Who's their pitching coach?
That's a good question.
Okay, all right,
I do not know.
all right. I will cut that.
Yeah, sorry.
Nope, no problem. It sounded like you knew
Make a
who it
note to
was,
yourself.
and
Yeah,
that
I
there was a
sounded just
guy.
like I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will say I'm pretty stunned that the Phillies are 13-13 and that the Braves are 11-14.
Yes. Although they seem to be going in different directions right now.
They do. Looks like the Braves are happy to be 11-14 right now.
Yes, they seem to be going the right way.
Yeah.
I told a Braves fan not long ago that they must be getting desperate if they called up Alex Verdugo
That's right.
and batted him leadoff. But but he's doing fairly well, and they are winning, and now winning on the road too. So that's going to be a very interesting division to see if the Mets come back down to the level of the Phillies and the Braves there.
And actually the Washington and Miami have been pretty good.
Did you see the end of that Mets Nationals game last night?
No.
That was a
It
guy
was
scored
NBA
the win.
playoffs night.
Yes, I understand that you have a lot of competition there, but the Nationals walked off the Mets with a single with a runner on first base. A single.
Whoa.
It was
That-
quite exciting.
That's some base running right there.
Yeah, C.J. Abrams. Now, the only caveat there was McNeil, the second baseman, knocked it down and slowed it up. But
Right.
you could see as soon as he went to second base, it's like he was going crazy. So
Right. It would take something like that on a single
that is correct. Yeah, the center
yes.
fielder had a long way to go, but he also made an excellent throw, and it was very close at the plate. But that was a very exciting way to go.
Base running is the best part of baseball.
It really is. Yes, that's where you get to watch Ellie De La Cruz,
That's right.
where
Love it.
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Good or bad.
That is correct. Sometimes they try to steal one base too many, but
That is correct. I would rather
they
they were
definitely
too.
keep the. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say they keep their fans on the edge of the seats. You were going to say you would rather.
Be too aggressive than not aggressive enough.
That is correct. Yes, exactly right.
I'd rather be Whitey Herzog than Brian Price trying to run yourself into wins than, as you kind of said, holding people at third base.
Correct.
As your running philosophy, being way too safe. I, I understand you don't want outs on the bases, but I prefer aggression to
That is
passive.
correct. Yes, exactly. So.
Well, let's say this: at the beginning of the season, your division picks were the Yankees, the Tigers, and the Rangers. Correct?
And that's correct. And so far,
And so far,
but nobody's running away with things.
but no one with more than 15 wins.
That's correct. 15-10 is your 600 winning percentage is your best record in the American League right now.
That is right, and the second worst record in the division is 10-16. So there is literally the White Sox are the only team out of this thing.
That is correct. That's exactly right. Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen it quite
It's,
like this.
No, if parity is what you're looking for, the American League is the way to go this year. That's for sure.
Will sure make a great regular season if that's the case. But you think some teams are probably going to pull away here, right?
I'm not sure if the Yankees can without a closer.
Mm. That's a good point.
Did you miss last night?
No, I did miss last night.
They brought in a closer to protect a one-run lead, and he faced the minimum 3 batters.
Oh,
they
oh
they
no!
all scored. They all
scored.
lost, and he has never been booed that hard ever in Milwaukee or anywhere else.
It was a 1-2-3 inning, Paul.
That is correct. Yes, score, score, score.
That's right. Which other teams? I'm Baltimore, 10-14. They're too talented for that.
You would think so.
Houston, 13-12, but only a game and a half out. So, not a lot to talk about in the American League so far, except for, do you see a team that you expect to make a move?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm beginning to see that nobody is going to clinch before the last week of the season. I mean, that's pretty far out there, but just I can't see anybody pulling away. And the one team that I think it has the greatest possibility of doing that is the Tigers.
Yes, because I doubt that Texas is going to pull away from Seattle and Houston.
I don't think so. And then the Astros the other teams never seem to put the Astros away.
That's right. And the East is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a very interesting division.
You're not going confidently into a series against any of those teams.
That's the whole thing. The Diamondbacks thought they were doing well, scheduling the Rays this week, and they won the first game, and then they couldn't win either of the last 2 games. So even Tampa Bay has its moments.
That's right. There are series, I believe, in every other division where you go into it expecting to take at least 2 out of 3.
Yeah, that would be the Reds this weekend.
That would be the Reds this weekend, and it was the Reds last weekend with the Pirates. So that's kind of how they made their move a little bit with the. But you got to do that. They started with such a tough schedule that you got to take advantage of these, and they didn't do that in Miami, but
That is correct.
I believe that they are the best team in that division.
The only thing that would argue against that point is that the Cubs have had the toughest schedule
That's
of
right.
anybody so
That's right.
far, and
And the
of
bats
course,
come every night.
yes, they have 29 more runs than any other team so far. So
And somehow that other second team is the Cincinnati Reds.
it's
Have the
crazy, isn't it?
second most runs in baseball.
Even that's a team that got shut out 3 games in a
3 games in a
row.
row and scored like there
Well,
it was
it helps when you score 14 and 24 and have
correct.
games like that.
And it's
So
been like this since I can't believe this is the second reference in one podcast of Brian Price. Um, when the Reds led the league in scoring and their offense was inept. It was crazy because when they faced bad pitching, they would hit
Mhm.
12 home runs, and when they faced good pitching like the Braves in the first round of the playoffs, didn't score a run in an entire series. That's how that
that
works.
that's what makes it exciting, huh?
Uh, we want different in
Oh,
Cincinnati. We want guys on base.
okay, all
And it's
right.
been much, much, much better the last week or so. And it
Mhm.
hasn't been Matt McClain, who we talked about last week, that once he comes alive, it's going to be the offense. But it has not been him. He has not been great yet. But
Not yet.
there's still 8 runs last night, 5 before. They're scoring fairly consistently. So,
Mhm.
and the competition helps. But the Reds pitching has been not as good as at the start of the season, but still really good.
Very good. Yes, indeed.
And I think better than the Cubs pitching. Although the Cubs is pretty good.
Okay.
Cubs have been pretty good.
I think that it must be that anti-Cubby bias that you
Oh well,
have
they're the
going there.
top 2 teams in the division now. It's just pure analysis, Paul.
Okay, then. All right.
Just pure analysis,
Yes,
Paul.
but apparently the Reds are better in some people's estimation.
Yes, that's true. Uh, by the way, Paul, for people who don't know, and I'm sure no one does, both of my grandmothers were sports fans, which never happens, and both of them love the Cubs.
That is correct.
And still, I am a Reds fan, and the Cubs are well. They're not my least favorite team, but they're down there.
If you didn't go to Cincinnati games
I'd
against the
feel
Cubs,
differently.
so yes, I avoid Diamondbacks games where there are Dodger fans in the
Oh,
stands.
although I've kind of always seen them as a caricature and not a real team.
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
kind of a caricature of a franchise with Harry Carey and the fans that don't care if they win. They're just there to see the game, and they're
Hmm.
super cool and friendly, and they zigged when everyone else zagged, and some people like that.
Hmm.
And I get it. Wrigley Field's the coolest place on earth.
It's pretty good. Yep.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Not a
But
better place.
they are different. I will say they are different. Those
They are
Cubs.
different, and I'll take the zag. Sorry, Cubs fans. I only jest. Thank you so much once again to Uncle Paul, my favorite segment to do every single week. I have always loved talking to my Uncle Paul since I visited him in Fairfax, Virginia in 1982. That was a special trip, and he has been one of my favorite people ever since. So I love doing this segment. And thank you for listening. If you enjoy these segments, please share them with your friends and family. That would help us out an awful lot as we continue to grow. And if you wouldn't mind going over to YouTube and subscribing, we'd really appreciate it. Then you will not miss a single segment of the Central Indiana Sports Report.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.